We've got to snuggle up nice and close because the shot is tight.
Shot is really good.
It's all right. We spent time in close quarters before. All those hours in the truck together grinding skis. That was, yeah. I've been so involved with the development of this stuff and the M series. Like, I'm pretty deep into working with the product that I'm working on. And for sure, in racing, we still use all sorts of other stuff, but I would actually really need to check with people who are working in the real world a little more actively on what's working and what's not.
I've had some iterations of this stuff in M series and S series, and
like some of the prototype. Yep.
Some of this stuff, and there's a couple other ones that I had some that were just hand notes on them, and I've been using them in races all along. Each iteration has gotten used in races.
Good.
So far. So it is a really nice addition to have. One of the things I first noticed about this was it was performing way outside of the original targeted ranges. And so I was like, oh, look, they put expanded temperature ranges on the packages this time. And I was like, that'll be helpful, simply because they do work in an alarming range.
I just made them up.
You just made them up?
The temperature ranges, yeah.
Well,
I mean, that's how they all get.
But I've used them that way.
Yeah, of course.
Like the standard, a lot of companies, for a sensible way, will try to keep their temperature ranges standard throughout a line. So the blue wax works in a similar range, the purple wax works, the red wax works in a range, but these are extended.
Well, and the idea,
and they really do work.
The idea is I want to reflect the ability of the wax to hang in throughout the range. It's not that it could potentially work in that bigger range. It's that, in fact, when it starts at -10 and it's good, it's going to carry you a long way.
I was telling somebody just earlier this week that I think a helpful way to think of the temperature range on a wax is that it's the range in which the wax could work, but there's likely a sweet spot depending on where you are. So if you're in Colorado, the sweet spot might be a different part of that temperature range than if you're in New England. But it's rare for a wax to truly hang in for that entire temperature range, and that was the first thing that caught me with these waxes and trying them, was that they were winning tests both above where I thought they should work, and they were winning tests below where I thought they should work. And I was like, wow, this one really is covering a range that was surprising to me.
The goal was to make something that was rapid engagement, rapid disengagement, kind of like the M series when it works well. What conditions do you find that these aren't your favorite in?
I mean, full disclosure, I've been using them a lot recently. I find the Violet S to be on the aggressive side. So if the snow is very sharp, sometimes I find some of the harder, more mild waxes that often seem slick, that's where they come into their own. The one that comes to mind is the old, you call it Rodi Blau, the blue multigrade, that when it works, it's great, but in a wide, usually when you test it, it's too slick. And it's unsatisfying for people to ski on. So I would say that's the biggest contrast that I've seen, is that in classic blue conditions, I like them if the snow is quite sharp. We were up testing and doing a training camp in Muñoz, and the snow was really sharp and hard up there for what I was expecting. And you didn't need the extra engagement of these waxes, because some of the old ones that are just a step away from paraffin had plenty of engagement already.
So based on that, he did make a colder one.
A green or something.
Yeah, something. Mundal asked for it last year already. And David was like, Eric doesn't know what he's talking about. No one needs to be colder than this because it doesn't get that way in Italy. He's like, I've never seen those conditions.
True, but you do use the wax outside of Italy.
I've only got 2 of them. I've got to send one up to Eric, but you can take the other one up to Alaska in case it's cold.
Okay.
So, Muñoz, you were there early season, and we got David to send you the test products, the liquids that you couldn't carry on the airplane, and maybe some of the test powders as well. And so you really have more experience with stuff that was developed over the summer than probably anybody on the planet. Walk us through it. The dark product is all based on our old Zero B. I say old, it's a couple years old. We've had it for a couple years. A Zero B powder, which was developed for rounder crystals, older snow. It has a hardener in it. And the dark product is all based on the direction established in that development process, but with some new ingredients and a slightly different paraffin base. So it's harder material, aimed at older snow. It has this crazy ultralight graphite in it, where you pick up a liter bottle of the stuff and it's like, woo, it's feathery. I don't know what the advantage is, except David is really excited about it.
The wax feels fluffy when I put it on the ski, so that's nice.
Fluffy. But you weren't skiing it in the conditions where it was designed to be made, because it's been a cold and new snow start to this
Cold and
season.
new snow, but we were on a safe snow
Base.
loop base,
Yep.
which I've found that will bias even a significant amount of new snow in the direction of that. You had warned me they were more of an old snow wax,
Yep.
and I was putting them on to see what they felt like, and my first sense was that this is nice. There's not a huge liability. Sometimes using old snow wax and new snow, and it's just like sticky is too much
Yep.
additive. And these seem like whatever modifications have been made are relatively light, at least impact on the snow in the couple times I've skied on them so far.
Yep.
So I'm excited about that simply because it might lend itself to a wider range than just strictly an old snow product.
Yeah, hope so. But I think they're going to shine in the older snow, and we do have plenty of feedback so far that the standard Next product is still the standard.
Yeah.
I mean, in new snow, none of this was intended to displace the existing waxes or to, the idea is to address weaknesses in the line.
Right.
And I think we've all felt like the Next stuff is really good a baseline standard that shines in new snow and low to moderate humidity. But the dark stuff is really aimed at the areas where we felt like the Next line wasn't delivering, which was in the more thoroughly transformed old snow.
Yeah.
So,
Which I'm still looking forward to. I haven't had to ski on very much of that. We had some rainy
Yep.
weather up in Craftsbury where we got it out and it still performed reasonably well in those conditions. So I was
Yeah, the dark warm was good for me
Excited.
on Sunday up
Yeah.
there. So
that was what I was liking in the rainy day before you got up there was the dark warm liquid was good. And,
yeah, yeah.
so I think that's good. And then this is if you are in
Yeah.
the star line and want a really hard base wax, there's a really hard durable base wax, and it's called base wax, but it's really glides very well.
Yeah, so the durable wax, we really struggled with the name. I mean, we're going with durable wax, that's what it is. Because marathon's taken and endurance is taken. So look, these really hard base waxes are nothing new. They had, Rex had that old pink Transforme,
Yep.
back before you were racing, and certainly when we were working together.
I used a lot of it over the
We
years.
used a lot of that
Huge amount of it
Transforme,
over
which
the years.
became RCF Pink, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, that Skigo Ultima is another wax that was designed for aggressive snow and high durability. Did a lot of mixing of that in the Skigo days. Ultima and 242 was a good mix for older snow and aggressive snow. When Vauti first came out with their LDR paraffin, it was aimed that way a little bit. It seems like they've sort of branded LDR as like universal or mid-range temperature now. So it's a different thing.
I
But
feel like that happens, that trend from our durable wax to
and
something
everything
that
wax.
gets used well, and
Yeah.
then it starts being branded as an everything wax, and it sort of kind of is, but it's also not necessarily for all conditions.
Right. Well, like Swix Marathon is a perfect example. It's a very good product, and it was really when they started with Floral Free the only thing that was working really well, and it worked well in a really wide range of conditions and continues to. And so immediately a lot of people are like, oh, it always works. We're just only going to use that. So this was a request from long distance teams. And when Davida said, do we need something like Marathon? I was like, yeah, we do. For sure we do, because there are definitely days when that type of thing is the best, it's the answer. And the Roadie Endurance really slid into that slot, and a lot of people adopted it. Last year, in the testing that I got feedback on, the Roadie Endurance was usually better than the Marathon until Super Tour finals, and then Marathon was really good. And, what's cool is that this has been good. Davida is very protective of feedback from World Cup teams. He's like, you can't share this. So I'm going to walk the line really closely here. There were quantities of this wax sold in Ruka before the weekend, and then those same teams came back and asked for a bunch more before Yalavari. That's what I
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means.
Right.
Davida said they must have misplaced some containers.
Yes.
That's fair. And he also wanted to know, do we want it in powder for the iron, or in block for the fleece, or in liquid? And I said, yes. So we made all of them. The liquid, good feedback for that too. I mean, I've been on snow one day in rain, and I confess I have not even skied on any of that stuff yet. But
Probably skied on the liquid more than any other of the waxes because it does have a relatively wide range. It does seem to be very durable. So I started using a lot of it because it's also really easy to put on the skis and if you want a nice, hard, wide range wax that goes on the ski quick and easy, it's a really good solution for that for my early season here.
Yep.
Thus far, and I put it in the glide outs and tests as I would try any other race wax, and again, it's been a good viable wax. So I think the long distance base, it's a good race wax too, even if it's listed as a base.
And then Zero B, not a catalog item, something I asked Davide to make because of the Zero B powder. And it tested really well for me on the snow last year, so took a bit of a flyer and had him make a batch. And you got some of that in Moño, and that's been good for you too, right?
Yeah, that was the first. I just put it on the snow, and it won the first several days of testing there before it got extremely cold.
Yep.
While it was still sort of small minus degrees.
Yep.
More of the man-made save snow coming up through a thin layer of natural snow.
Right.
And it was really good. Has good high speed, really good slippery quality to it. It has a greasy feel for me when I'm skiing on it. It's not a hard wax. You can sort of feels like a softer wax underfoot, which is really nice in those hard crystals.
So if we look at the whole line, we have the next products, which are the kind of standardized hardness for new snow. They work really well on new snow, but probably not tenacious enough as the snow starts to get transformed. We have the next beta products, which have a special additive in them that we kind of worked with here and got Davide to make because it was working well. What we know about that is that additive responds well when the snow is plastic. When it's subject to plastic deformation instead of viscous flow under the ski, you've got compacting or hard conditions. That stuff seems to be really advantageous, but it's a total sideline. It's like not headed a different direction. It's based on exactly the same next chemistry with an additive in it. All of this is new chemistry, and the Zero B is the first step in hardening the wax away from the next. But it's not a huge, huge step. It is different base chemistry. It's not the next paraffin, but it's a step away. The dark line is a step from that, where the dark warm, the yellow one, is in fact similar in hardness, but has additives and ingredients to point it toward older snow. And then the medium and cold are a step harder than that. And then the durable is quite hard, but really selected for tenacity. So it's should be long wearing. So it shouldn't, it's like abrasion proof.
Right.
That's the target. And I think that's kind of where other companies have pointed that. So next is sort of the softest, most lubricious. These are trying to deal with the capacity for handling older crystals. And for me, this Zero B feels like maybe close to like a universal race wax. I don't know.
I mean,
it's a mistake. It's like, well, it's not a mistake. It's just an interim step, but I feel like the dark stuff has been pushed toward specialty old snow. The durable stuff I still need to see, but I know from other companies that it's sometimes really good. Sometimes you don't want it. You want that more lubricious quality. This seems to walk the line in a pretty spectacular way from my point of view, because I have not had a bad test on that wax.
Maybe it wasn't a bad test, but in new snow at minus 18 Celsius, it's not ideal.
Oh, okay.
Just so you know. But it is, I have told people to treat it as a plus 10, minus 10. If you're starting to pick up any kind of shine in the trail, it's worth testing. Whether you're in new snow, old snow, cold, warm, when you get that glazy shininess and a hard snowpack, it's worth putting it in a test and just seeing what happens. And some days you'll be surprised. And I do think it is a really interesting product. And then it does seem like this dark product is well targeted to people who have as you're saying, fits. If you end up with a certain style of snowpack, you might find that whether the dark line or the standard line is more regionally appropriate for you, is what I'm expecting to happen.
I would expect anyone who's skiing overwhelmingly on man-made snow would really appreciate the dark. But we are all going to see that transformation and refreeze, and there will be days when this stuff is the thing.
Looking forward to doing a lot more testing on it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing your experience. It's been really valuable, and Davide is very appreciative also of the info, the live reports from snow and far-flung places. Now you got to go to Alaska and continue to report.
Continue to try some more stuff.
All right. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Zach.